We're on the cusp of one of the greatest, most drastic transportation and energy transitions in the course of human history.
Hello again. It's me, the Aussie Ideas man. Lost a bit of breath there, getting too old. Anyway, I just thought I might make a start on looking through this video of Motormouths to see if I can get some sort of theme for a part 2. My idea here is to pick out statements that I think are just irresponsible repeating snake oil that hasn't been proven. I'm going to maybe call this, are these facts or lies? So I'll just run through it and see what parts of it I can differentiate snake oil from facts.
And in my experience of interviewing several different startup companies and analyzing so many different company spreadsheets, there is no electric vehicle startup company that is managing their budget as wisely as APTERA is.
Okay, we'll start with this first one. He's analysed it and said there's no company as good as APTERA for managing their budget wisely. What about the Vista side? Didn't they take a contract out to rent a factory and then had to shut down the factory and get out of the contract, which cost them millions of dollars? Didn't they make lots and lots of panels for the upcoming production model and then did nothing with them? I don't even know that they exist. As far as I can tell, they must have just sent them to the rubbish tip. Where are their panels? They were making them for a few months on a production line. Now, I don't think that's managing money wisely. Also, didn't they make at least half a dozen full suspension systems, the entire front end, when they said they were making at least 6 to 12 beta models to do all the testing? What happened? Because they've only put one of those in a beta. Where's the rest? How many did they make and have they thrown them away? What's going on? I don't think these people manage their money wisely at all. Didn't they employ, I don't know, somewhere around about 120 employees? And now how many do they have? If they were managing money wisely, I think they could have employed less in the beginning.
Their launch edition is targeting 400 miles of range, which you will not see in any other EV at this price point.
Okay, so here's one of the first things that he's saying. It's got 400 miles of range, well, that's what they are claiming. Now, is that a fact or is that snake oil? They have had an alpha model for about 4 years now. That's a model that they can actually test. It drives, it goes distance. So just charge it up fully and do the test. Drive it for 400 miles. The reason why we don't see that being done is because they know it doesn't get anywhere near 400 miles. It's snake oil. They have had the ability to do it. If it wasn't with the Alpha, it was with the Gamma, because they said that one was a 400 miler. But if the Alpha was a 250 miler, just prove that it does 250 miles. And if the 250 miler does 250 miles, then it follows that a 400 miler, a larger battery pack, is likely to do the 400 miles. They have the ability and they've had the years to prove this. And the reason why they haven't proven it in real life by actually driving their prototypes is because they know it's snake oil. They know it's not even close.
Having a super aerodynamic design, enabling 10 miles per kilowatt hour where most other EVs barely get more than 4, and that allows.
Here's another one. Is 10 miles per kilowatt hour a fact or is it snake oil? Okay, once again, like the range, they could have driven any one of their 4 prototypes. I'll leave out the beta because it's only half built and doesn't represent a production model anywhere near close enough to even try to use. But their 4 prototypes, 3 alphas and a gamma, they could have all been driven and they could have independent tests prove that it does 10 miles per kilowatt hour. They've had 4 years to do it and they've never even tried to do it. I believe secretly they have made these tests themselves and they don't come anywhere near it. But because they don't intend to produce this vehicle, and it's interesting for me to say at this stage that they don't intend to produce it, but I really do believe they have never had any intention to produce it. Because of that not having any intention to produce it, they are able to just say what they like, and whatever brings in the dollars, they'll say it. Once again, is 10 miles per kilowatt hour fact? No. Is it snake oil? Yes. Until they can prove it, we can be lied to and we just don't know. Maybe like last time where they destroyed all their working prototypes, as soon as they fold this time, we'll see these things being destroyed very quickly so that nobody can test them.
Allows them to coat the exterior of the APTERA with solar cells, meaning the APTERA is literally capable of charging itself. Why is no one else talking about this? This is the only...
Now, he says it's literally capable of charging itself. We really don't know if this works. Once again, it's a claim, and so it's not literal, it's a promise. That's not literal. No promises are literal. If it's literally capable of charging itself, some independent tester has to come in and sit an APTERA with a flat battery out in the sun and then test how much charge it's got at the end of the day when the sun comes down. Then he can say, yes, it literally charges itself. If that's not done, then it's not literal.
Brand that is actually planning on mass producing a vehicle that is affordable to the masses, cheaper than the average new car price.
Is it cheaper than the average new car? We don't know because they haven't sold one. And the prices that they've stuck to for 4 years are just promises. And because they know they're not going to ever sell one, they just keep the prices low to bring in the dollars. These aren't real. These are snake oil prices. So don't go quoting prices when nobody's ever bought one at any of those prices until it's real.
That's also capable of seriously putting in meaningful range back into the battery pack. We're talking 30 to 40 miles of range per day for free for every vehicle that is manufactured.
That also sounds like to me more snake oil exaggeration than reality. People like Lightyear were claiming that they could do so many miles per day, and it wasn't anywhere near the 40 miles that APTERA is claiming. Sono had the Xeon, and they were claiming something like, I think it was about up to 12 miles per day on a really good day. Once again, nowhere near the amount that APTERA are claiming. But are these facts, or are these wild promises, snake oil promises? It looks like it's the snake oil promises. For certain, it's not a fact, but it rolls off his lips as though it was real. He's presenting snake oil promises that are completely unknown as if they're real.
No one else comes even close to that. The APTERA addresses that. And even if you live in a cloudy climate or some place where you don't get a lot of sunshine, even if you just get 20 or 15 miles of range per day, that's still going to be over 6,000 miles of free charging a year, which...
So now he claims, as if it's fact, 6,000 miles of free charging a year when you live in cloudy places. He's passing off fiction as if it were fact. It rolls off his tongue so eloquently, like it is real, but it's not. Nobody has shown it to be real.
You're not going to find in any other vehicle. No one's going to just be handing out free energy for the life of the car. That increases the affordability because people don't buy cars and just have them sit at home. They drive them. So the difference of cost of maintenance is going to be far lower for this vehicle. Not to mention, APTERA is a right to repair company, making sure everything can be worked on yourself. That lowers the cost of insurance. That lowers the cost of repairs. And because the APTERA is so much more efficient, that means they can use much, much smaller battery packs in their vehicle, which makes them far cheaper to build, far more scalable. Not to mention, the APTERA doesn't require a paint shop because they rely on more durable materials like forged carbon fiber, as well as wrapping on the sides to make sure it's protected. And a lot of the exterior is covered in solar cells anyway, so there's just no need to paint those. And the paint shop, as you can see in most of these other startup brands, is one of the most expensive parts of the manufacturing process. That's why Tesla was so keen on making the Cybertruck not require any paint, because they knew they could use a much smaller factory footprint and save so many steps if you didn't have to worry about that. So APTERA doesn't have a paint shop to worry about, has much smaller battery packs so they can build it more profitably, while at the same time still having way better range than everybody else and starting at less than half the price. We're talking under $40,000 for a fully electric vehicle with NACS that can access the Tesla supercharger network, that's capable of charging itself via sunlight. That's a fraction of the price from all of these other startup brands. And that's probably why APTERA has over 46,000 paid reservations. And a lot of people get nervous about that design because it's so radical and because it's so different that they immediately think it must be dangerous. It must be horrible in a collision, whereas in reality, it couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, APTERA has already started demonstrating how incredibly safe their vehicle design is, from a Formula One inspired roll cage, a wider than legally required crumple zone, and the outward mounted wheels don't require an axle between them, so that leaves less material, less structure to be pushed into the cabin in a front end collision, and also more side impact protection, plus the entire vehicle is a bit more rounded off with carbon fiber, pushing the pressure of the design outward instead of inward, not having as many flat, aluminum door panels like we have on traditional vehicles. This helps the APTERA be super aerodynamic, and because it's just a two-seater, you have a much wider crumple zone in the back than you would in a traditional SUV or sedan. Not to mention, even though it's a three-wheeler, it's an auto cycle, it still has airbags in the cabin to keep you as safe as humanly possible in a vehicle footprint like this. And that's why I think APTERA is criminally underrated. And the more you start to understand why they designed the vehicle the way they did, making it as safe and efficient as possible, the more you'll start to realize how are more investors not catching on to this idea that there is a vehicle unlike any other on the road that achieves better range, better affordability, incredible safety structures, and there's no other vehicle like this. Isn't that what you want to jump on as a potential investor?
There's no APTERA on the road. You're comparing real items, real vehicles on the road, with something that's not on the road. Half the time they have to keep it in the car park where people don't find out how bad it is at any decent speed. But when they do go out on the road, they're still going in virtually low speed areas. You can't compare something on the road with something that's not on the road.